Hi there, this is Antoinette Sykes with Standing Tall Fitness and the creator of the FitFab and Fearless TeleSummit. We are here today. I'm so excited to bring to you Kathy Paczak, and she is one of the experts here that's going to be speaking on green and organic products for healthy living. And I met Kathy a while back, and she's just a doll of a person and a gem of a businesswoman. Kathy is the founder of Healthy Lives Enterprises, and the website is healthylivesjourney.com. Her passion is women's and children's health. She's a wife, a mother of 3 who began her business 20 years ago while looking to improve the health of herself and her family. The result is that Kathy and her 2 of her children gained relief from outdoor allergies. Other healthy results followed as well. Kathy offers personalized systems focusing on individual health goals. She works on a whole person approach, discussing family, education, self-improvement, diet, exercise, stress, and supplements. When asked, Kathy recommends Shaklee nutritional supplements. She has given talks on women's groups and in schools to share healthy inspirations with others. She's available for mothers groups presentations, PTO roundtables, office lunch and learns, and one-on-one consultations, teleseminars, and family discussions. In person or at a distance, Kathy welcomes meeting you and your healthy journey. Welcome, Kathy. How are you?
I'm doing well. Good morning, Antoinette.
Yay! I'm so excited to have you here. This is a one-of-a-kind event, and I'm so excited. I'm excited, obviously, because I get to share my passion, but I also get to share my passion with other colleagues who share the same passion around health and wellness and fitness. And it's Friday.
Friday's always a great day of the week because the weekend's coming. And I agree. There are so many people who are so interested in health and fitness these days. And it takes people like you and I and the other experts here on the FitFab and Fearless TeleSummit to give people the tools they can use to create the healthier life they want.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So today, it was key to me to start this program, this teleseminar, telesummit in the month of June, because it will mark 6 months into the new year. 6 months since people have sat down and made those goals around business, around finances, and of course, around getting healthy.
Right.
So I wanted to offer a platform, an opportunity for people to recalibrate, reassess, readjust, and really connect in with some like-minded people that are going to offer strategies and tips and support around helping them get to that next level over the next 6 months. And time is flying. Oh my goodness. Time is flying. You look up and we're at 6 months. So I wanted this platform to be a blessing to others, to help people fight obesity along with me, because as I've stated, it's the number 2 cause of preventable death in the United States. So it's growing and growing. And our children, of course, are being inflicted by obesity as well. So I welcome you, and I'm excited to learn more about your green and organic products and how you overcame your allergies for your family. So I'll let you jump in and start wherever you would like, Kathy.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. This is a great, exciting opportunity for me as well. And it's a wonderful way that I can reach out to more people, because I've only got a small circle of people I can touch every day. And doing something like this, I can just reach out to everybody. And everybody needs this information in one form or another. I did start my business 20 years ago. I started as a product user of a company called Shaklee. I've always been interested in health and, tried to be fit, try to eat right, try and take vitamins when necessary. Mm-hmm. I met a woman who was working with some healthy cleaners that Shaklee has, and I had a 2-year-old at the time, and I'm thinking, well, he's crawling on the floor, so who knows what I'm putting on the floor and then what he's crawling on the floor with, and it ends up in his mouth.
Of course.
He puts his hands in his mouth and his toys in his mouth. So that's what really got me to think about what I was doing specifically, not only to impact myself, but impact my family. So I bought the cleaners and then started to learn more about what Shaklee products had, but more so what health really meant, and mm-hmm. how eating healthy and supplementing with the right supplements, and how supplements are different for everybody.
Sure.
It's not just about taking one pill and then you're done and everybody's healthy, because everybody's body is different. We all need a different amount of exercise. We all need a different amount of protein. We all need a different amount of stress relief, where we just kind of hang out and chill. Some people at different levels. So that's what I do in my business, is not talk about just, well, here's a vitamin you can take, because that is certainly important, and we can talk about later as to which vitamins are better off the store shelf or getting through me with Shackley.
Mm-hmm.
But also, what else are you doing as a whole person to listen to what your body needs? And then when you're working with your family, how what you have is different from your spouse and your children, because everybody's body is made up differently, and how to read those signals and work with your family to give them what they need as well.
Yes. Yes. That is so very true. So very true. So could you talk a little bit about the outdoor allergies? Did you just have like normal ragweed type of allergies and the process that you went through to overcome that?
Certainly. And this is one of my favorite stories, because this is what I consider one of my biggest health success stories, because, it's like so many people, I generally feel healthy and generally felt healthy,
Mm-hmm.
had colds, had sore throats, whatever, over time, but, over nothing major that, stuck me in the hospital for weeks on end or anything like that. But I have found that that's not necessarily true health, and we can get to that later if we have time. But with the allergies, I grew up in the Washington, D.C. area, and we are known for having horrible allergies, because as beautiful as this area is, we are at a point where we are far enough north that we have all the northern plants, and we are far enough south that a lot of the southern plants feel happy here. And so we have an abundance of pollen in the spring and the summer, and it hits you from all different angles. And so I grew up with ragweed and mold. I could not rake leaves in the fall, because I would get allergies, and my father would be really, he's like, but she's got to do her chores. And Mom's like, no, something else. Can't do the ragweed, can't do the leaves. And then when I started learning about supplementation and what my body was missing, and I learned that allergies, your body sees them like a cold. Mm-hmm. It's like an immune response to something that your body sees as an invader. And so if you boost your immune system, you can overcome your allergies. So that's what I did. I worked with alfalfa, which is a huge one. I worked with echinacea on an occasional basis. You got to be careful with echinacea, but echinacea, and I worked with vitamin C and garlic, and I learned a lot through the emails and seminars that I was going through with my business, and then started researching other stuff on the internet or in the newspaper. And so I all of a sudden realized that I wasn't sniffling in the springtime anymore.
Wow.
And so I did that for myself. And then I had my oldest son, he was 2 when I started my business. When he was about 6, he started to show symptoms of having allergies. So all that wonderful breastfeeding had started to disappear. All those natural immunities you get when you're a child, they were starting to disappear. And so he was the kind of kid, I had a really hard time even taking him out of the house to the car sometimes in the height of spring and in the height of summer. He has this one particular tree he's major allergic to, and he's allergic to grasses as well, whereas I'm not as allergic to grasses, but he had a grass issue, so he couldn't roll in the grass with the kids. So I, again, started him on some things, and he did live on some of the over-the-counter drugs for quite a while, and I kept feeding him the vitamins and doing more and more. And then through emails and things, I started to learn, and I can share with people if they're interested, specific vitamins and nutrition and how to regulate times of day that you go outside, but specific vitamins and nutrition. And all of a sudden, one day, I'm picking him up on the last day of school, and the school nurse is saying, I don't have the over-the-counter stuff to give back to you. And I'm like, because I never gave it to you. And he would have to visit her every day at lunch, and he didn't that spring. Well, this was in 6th grade for him, and this kid went on to starting a lawn mowing business in our neighborhood, mowed 5 lawns. Because of that, he got into Boy Scouts. He loved Boy Scouts. He was able to totally participate in all the camping and hiking, outdoors, trees, woods, stuff.
All that stuff.
All that stuff that he couldn't. He was able to participate in all of that. He, through his lawn mowing business, paid 100% of his way to the Philmont Scout Reservation out in New Mexico, paid 100% of his way down to the Boy Scout Jamboree in 2005. He was able to fully participate, and he could not have done that. This was a kid who was going to be a homebody. He could
Wow.
not have done any of that if it hadn't been for us paying attention and learning and being willing to read the emails and try things and to work with him so that he could be allergy free. And I think that's changed. It's changed his life. It's changed our family's life, because as the firstborn, we all would have kind of ended up being more homebodies, and we were all second son. So he's now an Eagle Scout. My second son is now an Eagle Scout because he followed the footsteps of Scouts. My daughter loves hiking and camping and climbing. We have family tent and sleeping bags. We all go do stuff together. We're outdoorsy kind of people because we were able to create him an environment where he could live and be outdoors. And it's totally changed our family dynamic and our family path just by paying attention and being willing to work.
Yes, I think that is key, because I like the point that you make around the supplements, but also a lot of the foods that we eat control how we feel, control the allergies, depending on like the pH balance, any of those things that will trigger an affection or an allergy. So I do like that, and I'm so happy for you. And I wanted you to tell that story to others who may be suffering. And you're so right. Being here in the DC area, I had minor allergies when I grew up down in Southern Virginia, but when I got here and got to college, they went through the roof. They went through the roof. So if there's someone now on the call that is struggling with maybe just kind of feeling a little lethargic or trying to run their business, what are some of the steps that you suggest that they pay attention to, or that you can recommend that you do as a business owner of 20 years and a mom and a wife and a friend and who wants to really go green, eco-friendly, and just kind of, recommend any supplements or any steps that you take?
Well, I think, first of all, you need to take care of yourself, because if you don't feel good, then you cannot provide for your family. You cannot provide to your business. Mm-hmm. You cannot be a healthy, active business person if you don't feel good. So number one is taking care of yourself. And I know it's a bit of a cliche these days, but, watching our sugar intake, and watching also a lot of the chemicals that go into your body. Yes. I admit I drink a soda now and then. But the key word is now and then. My drink of choice is water. Mm-hmm. My drink of choice is water. Yes. I personally am also decaffeinated. I have not had any caffeine since I was in college, and I think that I can then not have that affecting my body's metabolism as well. Okay. I do protein. Protein is so important, and our breakfasts, you heard Mom said, breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and it's so true. But nowadays, look at what we eat for breakfast because we're afraid of cholesterol. So we don't eat the sausages, we don't eat the bacon, we don't eat the eggs, mm-hmm. and yet because of that, we don't have the protein in the morning. And the protein is what gives you that morning energy, and it stabilizes you throughout the day. It gets that morning, so you don't have that 9:30 lull and you're looking for the coffee machine because you're out of energy. So I start my morning with a huge soy protein shake. And then if I have other protein because of whatever I'm eating is fine. But I know that I've started myself with a healthy soy protein shake and a handful of vitamin supplements because I've listened to my body and I know that I need extra B for energy. Besides the regular multivitamin, I need extra B for energy. I'm lactose intolerant, so I take lots of calcium. So I've paid attention to what my body needs. And some of that's through just trial and error. Okay. How do I feel when I take this? How do I feel when I take more of this? How do I feel when I take less of this? And I find the balance that's for me. If I feel a cold coming on, before it hits really hard, I'm going to take extra vitamin C and garlic to get rid of it. So a lot of it is being willing, especially the first month after you make a decision, to listen to your body and say, okay, I feel good today. What did I do yesterday that is now affecting my body today? How did I eat? When did I eat? How often did I eat? Did I eat the little meals all day long, or did I starve myself all day and then pig out at dinner? And, and that affects. So if you pay attention, you will do that. Balancing family and work can be a challenge. And I admit some days are easier than others, but it's always fun. And if you're willing to be flexible and work and communicate with your children. I'm on this call right now, and I've got a sign upstairs that says, stop, please be quiet, Mommy's on a phone call. And, I told so they know, but I also gave them a time frame. I said, I'll be done at, And so if you can give your kids time frames, you give them things that they can do, be willing to seek out advice. Talk to friends, talk to other people in your business, talk to people outside of your business so they can give you a different perspective. Those are some things that will keep you in balance. Being an at-home businesswoman, when we're out, can be isolating.
Yes.
And when we're out in the workplace, we have just going up and down the elevator, we talk with our office mates. Going into the coffee room or the lunch room, we talk with our office mates. There's often the once a week scheduled conference, or you go to talk about one item with a coworker and you end up talking about 3. So you have that feedback. And being isolated as a home business, sometimes you don't have that feedback and you wonder if you're on the right path. So you need to be proactive and seek out that feedback and seek out groups that you can connect with and create that environment for you.
I love that. What are some of the what type of diet are your children on, and supplements?
Supplements, well, they will take a multivitamin.
Mm-hmm.
They take, and I've got 3 children. My oldest is 22, my second is 18, and my daughter is 13. So we're going to start changing her up a little bit. She's been on some of the children's supplements and now needs to move into the adult women's supplements. But and it's fun to be able to do that, to be able to watch and adjust as the kids go along. But for the most part, they take a general multivitamin. They take B, they take garlic, they take C. And then they'll take, occasionally they'll take echinacea if there's a cold going on. An acidophilus bifidus, like Optiflora probiotic, is really important to keep the bacteria level good in your colon and your intestines, because that's where a lot of infections will start. So we'll use that. And then my son with the allergies, and my daughter, who is also showing signs of allergies, but not as bad, because I think I had her on a better vitamin regime early on, because I knew what was going on. It's all a learning process. They take it's a Shaklee supplement called Formula I, and it's got extra A, extra E, extra couple of other things that really boost your immune system. And so we use a lot of that. And that has been really helpful to both of them and myself on the allergies and keeping healthy.
That's good. And how does it affect their appetite? Do they eat more? Do they still have energy? Talk a little bit about that?
My kids, their appetite is fine. It doesn't suppress their appetite at all. Good. I have 3 very active kids. My oldest loves riding his bike and doing things like that. My second has been on crew for 4 years at high school and doing really well in that. And that's so much energy. And my daughter does ballet and she's on point and she's doing that 7-8 hours a week or more and will just increase. So they certainly have the appetite around that. But the thing that I think is interesting is that although my kids like cakes, like cookies, like ice cream, they don't live on that stuff, because the vitamins and then the way we eat healthy otherwise is feeding their body. A lot of times it's one thing to enjoy an ice cream cone after dinner, especially on a hot summer day like we're having now.
Yes.
But it's another thing to crave it so deeply. And when you're craving, that means your body is missing something. Yes. So whatever you're craving, you kind of figure out, well, what's in that my body is missing? Maybe it's the calcium, maybe, depending on what you're craving, it's different things. And so if you can keep your supplements up and supply those cravings with healthy meals, then you're not stuck on eating all the junk food. It just becomes a natural occasional treat rather than the way you normally eat. And I can see this in my kids' friends at school. The ones who tend to eat more junk food, they are the ones who are possibly more disruptive in class. They, they have behavior problems at home, maybe, and it's not across the board. But
sure.
I hear this occasionally, and I'm thinking, well, have you seen what your child eats?
Yeah.
And so I find my kids can pay attention. Their grades are good. They don't miss as much school. And when some kids get sick, they're home for a week. When my kids get sick, they're home maybe for a day or 2. And some of that's only because then after you've had the fever, you can't send them back for 24 hours, even though the kid's healthy as beans, but the school won't let them come back. So things like that. And my kids, I hear kids who are lethargic, they catch the flu and they're lethargic on the couch. And my kids are interactive. They're still talking, they're still eating, they're still drinking their performance hydration drinks. So they're sick, but don't seem to be as sick. Okay. And they have the energy, their personalities are good, they're happy. We've got we sit around the dinner table and we'll just talk and laugh after dinner for half an hour or more, just telling stories and jokes, because our family dynamic is so good. And I think it's because our brains are all healthy.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad that you brought up the point about when your body is craving, whether it's that sugar or calcium, or like you said, going overboard with having these cravings for sweets. A lot of times across the board, it's always the sweets. Whenever I meet with my clients, I'm like, what's your vice? It's like either it's pizza, salt, or sugar, be it candy, ice cream, cookies, you name it. Right. And that's a good analogy that you make, is that when you're eating healthy and having those other types of supplements as well, then your body doesn't crave it as much.
Right.
And then you can go into what I call, I use a lovely acronym. It's called EIM, everything in moderation.
I like that. Yes. I tell my kids it's all about balance. Same concept.
Yes. Yeah. So after a hard day at school, or reward after summer, or if you're just going out with your friends or a birthday, of course you want to celebrate and have a slice of cake or, cookies or what have you. But that's what it's all about. But it's not a day in and day out thing. And if you find yourself craving that is definitely key, to listen to your body. That's the first and foremost thing, is to listen to your body. What is your body missing or lacking, or what do you need to supplement that for? And the fact that you have the supplements, I like that a lot. I was just at the doctor's a couple of weeks ago, as I mentioned, when I got sick. And, I love going to food first. So I want to make sure that I'm having the hot soups or the teas or the honey and the lemon and, getting all of my vitamins in through vegetables and fruit. And my doctor said, and I told him I was taking a vitamin, and he says, well, why are you taking that? And I said, well, because I'm sick. Number one, I'm sick, but I honestly felt like I didn't have an appetite. So I wasn't getting as much of the nutrition that I needed. So in order to do that, I turned to a vitamin C, vitamin B, to give me some energy, all those types of things. And he just looks at me, he's like, I'm just checking.
Oh, good.
I'm like, I'm trying. I know the routine. So that's very key. So I like for our listeners to understand that when we talk about having these supplements, vitamin B or iron or calcium, it's to actually complement your diet. That you may not be getting enough nutrients in the foods that you take in. And so it's a learning process to try to change it all around. Try to change your eating so you get your proper servings of fruits and vegetables and vitamin C and iron and calcium, because I know that I'm low in calcium. I don't drink milk at all. Not even as a kid, I didn't.
Okay.
I only like it in my cereal. So I go high on broccoli.
Good.
High on broccoli. And I do protein shakes now that, have the calcium in it as well.
That's great. And that is so true. And also you mentioned not getting what we need, even with our best efforts to eat healthy. Mm-hmm. Sometimes depending on the time of year or what you're getting, the nutrients that you think are in certain foods may not be there.
Of course, depending on how you cook them, depending on how they're prepared. Yes.
And where they've come from. We have the blessing nowadays. Several centuries ago, our great-great-grandparents, they could only buy in-season fruits and vegetables at their local market. And we can buy anything in season and out of season. Well, if it's out of season here, it's probably in season down on the lower hemisphere, but then it has to be transported up here, and so many things can lose nutrients that way. Or depending on if farmers if they don't change over their crops or let their fields go fallow for a year, to then you're going to lose nutrients. So even the quote in season fruits aren't being grown in good soil, so you're not getting the nutrients that you need. And that's where supplementation can really fill in the gaps.
Absolutely. It's funny that we're talking about the fruits. I was just at the store this morning after a workout, and I just went to my local grocer over at Safeway and was looking at the fruits, and I was disappointed. They didn't look as plump and as big and as juicy. So I said, okay, I'll just have to come back. Maybe they're going to get a fresh load in. But I remember that I even said that. I was like, well, I remember strawberries were like huge and blackberries, and I seemed to get like 5 in a pack for $5. I was like, no, thank you. I need to go back over to the farmer's market. So I do. And the summertime for me is the best time to have all the fruits that I love.
Isn't
all
it wonderful?
Yes, completely.
Yes.
Completely.
And you talk about teaching your kids to be healthy in the summer, a good fruit salad.
Yes.
With one little vanilla wafer if you want to make it look, excellent dessert. And the kids know that. We're having fruit for dessert tonight. And and if you get the good kind, nature just puts so much natural sweetness in there. You're going to satisfy your sweet tooth anyways, and you're going to get all those vitamins.
Yes, yes. That's a perfect place to end. That was our lovely timer. I do want to ask you, what does it mean to you, Kathy, to be fit, fab, and fearless?
Well, to be fit is what's best for your body. I don't think that anybody should try and look like a beanpole. I don't think that's healthy, and I think that's a problem with Hollywood and the media these days, is especially now that I've got this 13-year-old daughter and I'm trying to work with her on body image.
Body image, yes.
But I think when you are fit, you feel like doing things. Somebody who's fit wakes up in the morning and doesn't have to lay in bed for 20 minutes. Turning the snooze on once and laying in bed for another 5 minutes, yeah, that's kind of nice and that's relaxing. But you don't have to lay in bed and drag yourself out of bed. If you're fit, you're going to have the energy to get up. You're going to feel like getting up. And somebody who's fit, you wake up in the morning and somebody calls you up and says, hey, let's go take a walk. Just a nice, nothing too strenuous, but let's just go take a walk in the local park. If your first impression is, oh, do I really want to? Then you're not that fit. But if you got the energy, if you know that you can handle the walk, you want the interaction with people, then I think that that's really good. So, body weight, the body mass index, all those are very important tools, and I think we should work with those. But really, it's, do I have the energy to do everything that I want to do? And if you've got the energy and you can do you can get to the end of the walk without feeling winded, or the end of the run, or play soccer with your kids, or go on the playground with them, or go on a bike ride with your husband, and at the end you feel tired, but it's a good tired, then you're fit. Okay. And so that to me is what fit means. And it's going to be a little different for each person, but that's, if you've got that energy, then you're fit. Fab just means enjoying who you are. Yes. I mean, especially in today's economy, there's always the woulda, shoulda, couldas, and there's always a grass is greener on the other side concept that you think. But if you can be happy with who you are, and that's with your body, with your health, with your family, spiritually, socially, then I think that's fab. Then you are being the best that you've been created to be right now at this point in time. And that changes, especially as a mom. You got little ones, life is different from when they're in middle school to when they're in high school. When they go off to college and you empty nest, it's all different. So you've got to be fab is to be content with where you are right now, knowing that this is your point in time. Lovely. And to be fearless is to not be afraid to make the changes, not be afraid to take on new tasks. Well, this, for example, you put this out and it was a little scary, but I typed, yes, I'm in on the computer, and I hit that send button, and then I'm like, oh gosh, what did I do? And here I am now. I took on my own sense of potential fear and said, I'm going to be fearless. I'm going to overcome this. And so being able to not be afraid to reach out and enjoy new experiences that are being presented to you.
Wonderful. I couldn't have surmised it better. I've just had a ball. I hope that our audience has had a wonderful listening experience, that they understand supplements, that they understand they can reach out to you for even Shackley products, and just even more mom talk. And I wanted to have experts, not just in health and fitness and wellness, but also across the board, because there's some of us who are out there that, are parents who want to do the best for our children, because that childhood obesity rate is on the rise like never before.
It's so sad.
It is. It is on the rise like never before. So your expertise really, really will help people to understand not just the health and fitness for an adult and as a business person, but also as a mom to look after our family and our children. So I really appreciate that. I really do.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. And yes, anybody who is listening to this call, I know Antoinette's going to have the contact information. I would love to talk to you one-on-one. We can talk about health, diet, exercise, just, getting your act together in some way of sense, and just to be a mom, and, or those people who aren't moms. I mean,
Yes.
we're all adults, and, so as an adult talking like that, and I would love to connect with, and if we discuss and you find out that you would like some supplementation, I can show you what she actually has to offer, because I feel they're the best on the market, and I have gotten so much good results from using them and from being connected to the community that can support my interest in health and wellness.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you so much. Your information and all your freebies will be listed next to your replay. This has been Antoinette Sykes with FitFab and Fearless TeleSummit, and happy to have our expert today, Kathy Paczak. And we're going to be looking for more experts coming up, so stay tuned. Thank you.